that are in, you know, whether they're a judge, a lawyer, an executive, a head of agency, a doctor, a biochemical researcher, a housewife bringing up 6 kids, you know, a college student. I've worked from people from 9 to 93. One of my favorites is the 93-year-old. She sends me the dirty stuff on the internet. I just can't believe it. She's a hoot. But she's extremely aware. And she actually had a very prestigious occupation in her life. So something is going on in personal change because we've come from a very strong emphasis of getting more stuff. You know, going to Macy's, they're having a sale on Saturday, to really taking time out to find that inner focus and what is actually important to us. We're also seeing change on a social level. There are a lot of things happening where are the majority of people still going about not paying attention? You betcha. But there is a tremendous stream of awakening happening in everyday life, in every society, where people are again beginning to look at things very differently. And you hear so much about the young. They're still the same old kids doing the same old things that we did. But some of these youngsters are extremely wise and extremely aware and are talking about things that I just never talked about when I was young, and most of my friends didn't either. They're looking at life with their very sage elder eyes. They know what they want to do. They feel like they have a purpose to their life. At 8 years old, they're going out and starting businesses and beginning to do new things. But as we look at all this change, again, I want to remind you is that we've always had change. You know, there was a time where we would see the Vikings coming on the shore and go, holy cow, sound the alarm. We would be afraid of the loss of our civilization and what was happening. This is just another phase in our development. But there's another aspect to change. There's planetary change. We're looking at things around us on the environment, and I was really shocked to see this on the New York Times, August 9th. This headline, some of you may have seen it, front page, climate change. Now, not only is it climate change, look at what's below. Seen as threat to U.S. security, Pentagon studies issue. Crisis may destabilize regions and require military action. Whoa! You know, that's something you think you'd see on Project Camelot. So people are paying attention to some degree to the planetary change, even though some still try to deny it. But what is going on with this global warming? And is it something that's happening here on the planet, or is it something that could be further on beyond? Because we tend to stop when we think about things, and we tend to think about our direct parameters around us in the world. But what is going on out there in that unseen vast void of the universe? We think of the world like this, but there's all kinds of fields and properties around the planet that we really don't pay much attention to, that we need to be taking a look at, that could be influencing us from beyond the borders of our planet and what's going on. But at the fundamental heart of this metamorphosis and this change that's taking place is something that's a little bit different now. And it's not necessarily a 2012 prophecy. It's not necessarily extraterrestrial visitation. It's something very, very obvious and in front of us. And what is changing are the perspectives that people have. We are now able to look at things very differently because life has changed around us. So we have new tools of interpretation. Where when I first came out, I think it was 12, 13 years ago, to publicly talk about having a lifetime of extraterrestrial contact and what I learned, there was still a bit of trepidation on behalf of people. There were those people who said, yeah, I think it's probably true, I want to hear what she has to say, and there was still a great degree of people who didn't want to hear anything. But now, the majority of people are saying, well, I haven't had those experiences myself, but I think it's probably quite likely that it's out there. Because we've got media, we've got technology, we have all kinds of tools to help us reinterpret reality and what we've got going on around us. So we still have two camps. We have people who are looking at things at perspectives from the conventional eyes. You know, the economy, finances, mortgage, institutions, politics, relationships, power brokers, technology. But then we have people like you who are looking at unconventional world in terms of what is it that science doesn't tell us? What is really going on with space and solar activity? What's happening out there with cosmic radiation? And how does it affect us? I mean, for gosh sakes, if a sun, an orb billions of years away, can turn my skin brown, then obviously if there's radiation fields and activity out there that I'm not aware of, it can influence me, and influence me at depths and levels I'm not aware of. We're redefining extraterrestrial realities. So many of you are having your own experiences, and we've heard different interpretations about human evolution and who we are and who we've been. Consciousness is taking a radical new leap as we're looking at it beyond Freud, beyond Jung, and into some new levels and some new depths as you're exploring who you are and what you can do. And certainly there's a historical redux of looking at our history on this planet and who we've been and who we can be. Quality of life is taking precedence over some other things that are there, like making money and having a 401k. And most importantly, there is a huge flow of your paranormal skill set being turned on within a subgroup of the population. It's not happening with everybody, but it's happening with quite a few. As you know in your own experiences, that you're able to see, know, and hear things and have extra abilities that were once relegated to Gene Dixon and just a few who are out there. So what am I doing with all of this information that has been given to me? Because as Kerry said, I've had, as some of you may know, kind of an odd lifetime. And I've had the opportunity to learn a lot of information, not from books, not from going to conferences, but from extraterrestrials and entities who aren't native to our planet. Now, I'll tell you, if I hadn't had these experiences myself, I'd be looking at that woman up there and going, she's whack. She's really, you know, I just can't relate. But when they become personalized, then there's no doubt about it, about what's happened. And so I've had a very unconventional curriculum. And some of the things that I'm going to briefly touch on today in the time that we have are, you know, I've been introduced to the soul life as a primary underlying force of our existence, and being made to understand that there is something more than just who we are. I've met the family in terms of many different species and races out there. I've been introduced to some new things about genetics, consciousness, looked at history in a way that hasn't quite been looked at before, and most importantly, that has given me the understanding of what we've done a lot here on Earth and why we don't understand things is a new interpretation of what we call time-space. This all leading up to what I've been taught is that what the future can be, and that the future isn't set in stone. And so what I've done is I am planting seeds of people around the world, rather than saying, buy my book, read my book, oh, I want to get on Oprah. Trust me, I do not want to get on Oprah, and I don't want anybody reading my book. It does not belong in Costco or any place like that. So, you know, I've decided to work with people on an individual basis and giving them the seeds and the skills and the talents that they need to be successful to go forward and flower a new life. Now, obviously, in the little amount of time we have, I can't cover all those things, but I'm going to try to emphasize the soul life, our futures, and planting seeds, along with some of these other things. Now, you know, when it comes to extraterrestrial reality, there's kind of, for those of you who haven't had the direct contact, there's kind of that let's do lunch type of attitude towards it. I get people calling me up or leaving messages saying, can you arrange, it's almost like Match.com, can you arrange for me to meet with an extraterrestrial with a list of attributes that it's like I'm running a dating service? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. You know, there are so many different races out there that unfortunately we tend to get confined to the beliefs that are fed to us by the media. So we're used to the little grays, you know, some channeled information about reptilians, but don't be limited to that. There are many, many different life forms out there, some with classical